Welcome to Green Building Matters, the original and most popular podcast focused on the green building movement. Your host is Charlie Cicchetti, one of the most credentialed experts in the green building industry and one of the few to be honored as a lead fellow. Each week, Charlie welcomes a green building professional from around the globe to share their war stories, career advice, and unique insight into how sustainability is shaping the built environment. So settle in, grab a fresh cup of coffee, and get ready to find out why green building matters.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. Once a week, I get to interview someone somewhere in the world that's doing something in sustainability. Sometimes it's buildings. Today, we're going to talk products and startups and even some chemical engineering. So I'm really excited to have Bahruz on. He's coming to us from the Boston area normally. So how you doing today?
Hi, Charlie. Today is a great day, and thank you for having me. And listened a couple of episodes from your podcast and enjoyed it. Thank you for doing the great work and enlightening spreading the word about the sustainability.
Well, thank you. And I know we love entrepreneurship. We'll talk about that. But take us back. I'd love for the listeners just to kind of hear your origin story. So where did you grow up and then later go to school?
So, wow, it has been ages ago. So I grew up in Azerbaijan. It is a country for those who don't know, in between Turkey and Russia. So that's where I grew up. And during college years, I still remember that. During high school years, I still remember the people from university came to our school and showed some chemistry tricks. That moment, I fell in love with chemistry and thought it is a science of magicians. And then I decided to study chemistry. So because at that time, I was not sure what to study. And that's how I ended up in Ganja State University as a chemistry student. But quickly, when I went to the college, I realized that it is not magic. It is science and you have to study, you know. So that's basically where I studied my bachelor's. Then I moved to Europe, Netherlands, to do my master's in nanotechnology, with nanomaterials to be more specific, and spent some time working in Germany on nanomaterials, and established my first company in Netherlands, also in nanomaterials, and then moved to Berkeley, US to work on my second startup project. And here I am working on my third startup project. So
amazing. So I love that, how at college, at university, just that the science of magicians. I love that. That's great. And then I think you also got a master's, right, in chemical engineering. So some continued studies there too. You know, I went to Georgia Tech, not in chemical engineering. Later, I got into construction. But for those that don't know, just how would you define nanochemistry, nanomaterials?
So nanomaterials, scientifically speaking, it is particles 10 to power minus 9. It's extremely small. Let's say 1,000 times smaller than the hair, one hair, single hairline, right? So what happens in nanoscale? These materials, ordinary materials we know on macro usual scale, they really start changing properties. So different colors at different sizes. Imagine that you take the same particle and you have it, let's say 10 nanometers, 30 nanometers, or 50 nanometers. They will have different colors. And there are similar other properties. The power of nanotechnology is that we can give new properties to existing materials. So that's what nanotechnology is about.
Thank you. No, I was curious how you would define it, and so small, and it's fascinating. So how about mentors? You've had a few different businesses now, but even back in the chemical engineering, the material side, just have you had any mentors along the way?
Of course. I mean, mentors along the way, I realized that if you want to lapse the time, the best things you can do is to get a mentor. I really started using this, let's say, strategy from my second startup, where what my thought was, okay, if I am trying to get something done, who have done this before me? So this is the first chain of thoughts to come to my mind. Now, in this project, for example, we managed to build good board of advisors consisting from industry veterans with 30 years experience. That knowledge, that 30 years experience enormously helped us to just lapse the time and move much faster. So mentors, everybody who wants to do something new, just look for the guy who has done this before.
Thank you. Now, mentors, so important. All right, so let's connect the dots on your career. You'd worked at a couple companies before you had started a business. So tell us a little bit about that and what launched you into starting your own business.
So, look, I was working as a chemical engineer after graduating from my bachelor's. I always had passion for two things. I had passion for chemistry and I had the passion for business. I am coming from the family who are entrepreneurs in fourth generation. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. So I would say I had that DNA. And during my master thesis in Netherlands, we invented this very unique nanomaterial, which is like a ceramic material, but flexible, made from nanofibers. And then immediately I pushed my partner, who was the inventor of this technology, say, hey, Gerard, we need to establish a company out of that. Then that company really picked up. We got more than $6 million of investment, several customers and so on. That project went really well and was successful for the shareholders.
I love it. And, before we talk about today, one more time looking back, what are some of your proudest achievements so far?
So something tangible, there are a couple. One of the things which is tangible, which I can hold in my hands, is the gold-silver medal I got. When I was graduating from the school, I went to work as a process engineer in the gold mine. So we were managing the all gold production over there. So because I one of the contributors to the, let's say, high gold production, exceeding the plan and the expectations, they gave a gold medal where the gold was mined by us in the mine. So then it's same for gold and silver. So I put this in my room and say, okay, this coin was made by us in our mine company. So the second one, I am really proud about the sustainability impact we are doing in our company in terms of reducing plastic pollution. And so far, the results we achieved, I am very proud of them. And as it goes, it will influence our packaging industry. That's what we aim for.
Well, thank you. And that's why we wanted to have you on the podcast to talk about that sustainability part of what you're doing. So Bahruz, take us to current day. Tell us, about BERKM. You're the CEO there and co-founder. Yeah. What does your company do, this material science company?
So we have basically we have a white powder made from nanoparticles. What you do, you mix that white powder with plastic. What it enables, why you need to mix these together. First, this mixture sort of nano-composite of plastic additive. With this, you can make 20% lighter plastic packaging. Let's say, for example, to make half-liter soda bottle, let's say you use 10 grams, just give an example. Now you can use 8 grams. So you have 20% reduction over there. The second point, this white powder enables to extend the product shelf life. For example, your sandwiches, fresh cut fruits and vegetables have 10 to 14 days of product shelf life. So we extend that 6 times. That's also related carbonated drinks too. And the last one, our technology supports recycling in many ways. So to wrap it up, less plastic, longer product shelf life, and recycling, supporting recycling.
Amazing. Yeah, because plastic obviously is such a big problem. And, it sounds like you've really got a nice solution here. I know you've raised some money here for the startup. So kind of where are you at and where are you going next?
So we got investment close to $1 million from different venture capital firms. We are also going nicely toward NSF Phase 1. We got approved for the submission. This is a grant from the government to support science and research. So I have to be honest, sort of what we see in the market, we see a lot of attention and support for sustainability related projects. With the new bill, sustainability bill, which passed some time ago. Really, we see that a lot of money is pouring in sustainability funds, startups, not only in venture firms, but there are a lot of people, wealthy people, which have money. They want to make money on top of their money, but they also want to contribute to making this world a better place. So in that sense, we sort of riding the wave, as they say, and we got with the traction we have and got close to 1 million. And we have the active pilots with several global brand owners trying to, again, reduce plastic consumption and extend product shelf life.
Well, best of luck as this plays out, as you grow the team and hire more. It's exciting. It's needed. It really is. Well, let's get to know you a little bit more. Maybe in your industry, materials and chemical engineering. Hey, what's getting you excited? What else do you read up about that maybe could help your industry, could help with sustainability?
Yeah. So just for your information, chemical industry is responsible around 4% of global CO2 emissions. In general, we see a huge shift towards green chemistry, like using water-based solutions, getting rid of healthy solvents, recycling, you being able to use the same raw materials again. For example, I can give for example, they take tube which comes from the plants and push that through chemical reactors, and boom, you have a methanol or ethanol. Then you can use as a raw material for making other chemicals, right? So we see, again, using more green chemistry, recycling, just trying to make it closed loop, and more using sustainable raw materials in terms of trying to get the raw materials not from the petrochemicals, but from, for example, wood. Another company, for example, where I want to highlight, for example, is Origin Materials. They are building first plant where they are basically make raw materials for making plastic from wood, not from fossil fuels. So again, green chemistry, closed loops, and sustainable raw materials, that's the trends we see. And that has big impact on the sustainability because the chemistry is everywhere. Whatever you touches in our daily life have a huge part in chemistry.
Thank you. Oh, great. Let's get to know you a little bit more. What would you say you're really good at? What's your specialty?
You're asking challenging questions, but right questions. In terms of I think I am good at coming up with vision and the direction, what we have to do, bringing in passion for sustainability. I think I am doing a good job in bringing right type of people to the company and basically putting that people in a, let's say, structure where they are most productive. And again, and adding extra passion for sustainability on all that package, which helps the people to have a purpose in work because, people always they do better when they have purpose to work. And when you say, okay, the work you do today contributes to making this world a better place, that also helps. That I am good at keeping that in that poster up front.
That's awesome, man. That is a gift. In charge of the vision and communicate it often, hire and retain the best talent and make sure there's money in the bank. That's your job, right? So, So do you have any good habits or routines that really help you stay productive?
Of course. So I have strict routine in terms of I try to wake up and I usually do around 5:30. Then I exercise for 10 minutes. I meditate for 5 minutes. Then I would do priming for 10 minutes. And then I would read for 30 minutes. So that's I do every day. In the day, in the morning, just trying to have hands on my first part of the day. Then in the afternoon, I would meditate if I am mentally tired. So this is routines. I try to go to bed between 9 to 10 p.m. And every Sunday, I am doing my weekly planning. So just making sure that what are things I have to do for the next week and what are my priorities. So that's sort of habits I would say I follow and have been helpful to me.
Those are great. Thank you very much.
I go to gym 3 times per week, which helps to keep the mind sharp. Mood and mind. That's also important.
You do strength training, cardio, a little everything?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, as we get to know each other more, I'm a fan of the bucket list. So is there any adventure or travel or what are one or two things maybe on your bucket list?
Yeah. So I would like to jump from the plane. That's my next thing, which I am planning to do. That's number one. And number two, I have been planning to have a 10 days trip to China. So these two big things are pending. Hopefully I will be able to get both of them done during next year.
Very cool. I like those. That's awesome, man. Is there a book you'd recommend or a podcast or a TED Talk? Just, one pro tip. Hey, I kind of like this. Maybe our podcast listeners would like it too. Yeah,
actually, I am an avid reader. I try to read around 45 minutes per day. The essential book, a book which influenced my thinking and making, because I think is that the life we live is the consequence of decisions we made. So Think Fast and Slow is my number one book. It has been very, very important in my decision-making process. And another book is Decisive, is about how to make decisions. These books, it really helped me to become a better decision maker. Actually, the author who wrote Fast and Think, Daniel Kahneman, he's the Nobel Prize winner in economics. He wrote a second book, Noise, also in the same topic. I am reading that one now.
Man, those are great book recommendations. I'll put a link to those books in the podcast show notes. Everybody check that out. Thank you for those tips, your good habits, your books. Just a couple more questions as we start to wrap up. Looking back on your career, is there anything you wish you'd known earlier in your career?
If there is something which I knew earlier in my career, right? This is a very good question. In looking back to career, I was lucky enough. I believe that everything comes in the right time. In terms of career, I don't have any I wish.
Good.
Everything was okay. I can't complain on that side.
Okay. And it helped get you where you are today. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well,
with ups and downs.
It's never easy, right? If it's easy, everybody would do it, as they say. Well, especially entrepreneurship. All right, last question. Let's say someone's listening, they're getting inspired by your story here, and they're just now jumping into maybe chemical engineering or nanotechnology or sustainability. Just if someone's getting involved now, any words of encouragement for them?
Yeah. So one is if it was not the case 10, 15 years ago, but now if you are in nanotechnology or chemistry and you are also passionate about the sustainability, now that there are a lot of big wave and people and industry have been paying attention to that. And sort of there are a lot of sustainability and related projects out there. So you can join and basically have that purpose. In terms of generally speaking, I expect that nanotechnology as also chemical engineering in big lines will have a big sustainability. Again, because the chemistry and materials everywhere, we touch them. Inventing, the world relies on next generation of chemical engineers, nanotechnologists to invent more sustainable materials, recycle them, reuse them. So all these use compost them. So there are many ways that this nanotechnology and chemical engineering can help to make the planet better way. And the next generation of scientists, I am sure that they will do. There are a lot of opportunities for them to improve and write their names in the pages of the history, as they say.
I love it. Now we need them to continue to innovate and more green scientists coming soon, green magicians, if we will. So,
like how you put it.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I can tell you're well on your way with your company. So just thanks for spending some time on the podcast. You gave us a lot of tips. You showed us your journey, and you still got some good work to do too. So just thanks for coming on the Green Building Matters podcast. Everybody listening, hey, connect with Bahruz on LinkedIn. Make sure you check out BERKM and their website. And thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Charlie. It was my great pleasure.
I just want to say thank you to our loyal listeners. We actually are celebrating over 1 year here on the Green Building Matters podcast. Me and the entire team were stoked and just so glad you continue to listen every Wednesday morning to a new interview with a green building professional here in this industry, or just some pro tips that we want to make sure that you are getting straight from us, straight to you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. At gbes.com, our mission is to advance the green building movement through best-in-class education and encouragement. Remember, you can go to gbes.com/podcast for any notes and links that we mentioned in today's episode. And you can actually see the other episodes that have already been recorded with our amazing guests. Please tell your friends about this podcast. Tell your colleagues. And if you really enjoyed it, leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on next week's episode.